Hello, all. So today we are going to focus on breaking down the essay topic. What to do when you get an essay topic and you're walking into a SAC or an exam. This should be like a 5-minute process that you go through every time you get a new topic. And we're going to summarize the steps into 3 parts. The first part is you're trying to understand the topic, and to do so, you're going to find synonyms and other ways of saying the topic to really try and find out what the question is asking. So we're going to swing over and look at this topic. We're looking at Black Panther and Macbeth, the comparative unit that we're doing. And so the topic for today is, how does power lead to destruction? Discuss using examples from both Macbeth and Black Panther. So we need to first work out, okay, what are the key ideas? And I'm going to circle, you can underline, you can highlight, but really we're looking at the relationship between power leading to destruction. So if we unpack power, what's it really asking? So how does being power hungry, perhaps? How does being a tyrant or a controlling leader, what sorts of power are there? Maybe a desire for power. We might think about ambition connected to a desire to power. Is it just being power hungry and ambitious, or is it having power that leads to destruction? And in terms of destruction, let's think, okay, so what other synonyms can we find? Disaster, pain and suffering. It leads to problems. Power leads to problems, issues, worries, negative consequences. Okay, so we do this. Now, the benefit of also doing this is we've now got a whole bunch of synonyms that as we write our essay, we can keep coming back to. So you don't always have to use power destruction, power destruction, power destruction throughout the whole essay, but you can use some of these other words to help expand the vocabulary in your writing. So the first thing I want you to do is really look at the question, try and understand the question by finding your synonyms, okay? We could also look at lead to if you wanted to, cause, trigger. It's looking at that cause and effect relationship, okay? So is it power that leads to destruction? Okay. All right, so if we come back to the steps, that's finding the synonyms and underlining keywords. Okay, it's really breaking down the question. Number 2, step 2 in this process is what we call question the question. So what I mean by that is I want you to actually challenge the topic. I want you to ask lots of questions of yourself to kind of lead you towards where your response could go. So if we start thinking of different questions that come from this, how does power lead to destruction? We might come up with, well, does power lead to destruction? So that's the first question. Is it power that actually causes people to have problems, issues, suffering, betrayal, or is it something else? So that's the is question. And then we might start asking, well, if we think about our questions, we've got the is or does, which is the yes, no. And then we could also think of the who, what, where, why, when. And I also think of in what way and things like that. So who is the power hungry characters? Who are the characters that have power in both texts? And why do they have power? What's the consequences of them having power? And what is the destruction that is in both texts? Why is there destruction in both texts? So we're really just asking some questions. And as I ask those questions, and I'm asking them inside my head, that actually starts thinking of characters that I can use as examples and different focuses for my paragraph. So step 1, find synonyms, underline keywords. Step 2, question the question. And when you are beginning this process, you will need to actually write out the different questions that come up for you. So you will actually start to write, who is powerful? What is the destruction? Why are the characters powerful? Why is there destruction? Okay. Then, does power cause the destruction? Or is it something else? Okay. Does anything good come from having power? Okay. So we start thinking about the different questions. That's guiding me. Now, in the beginning, you can write them down. After you've done these a few times, then you're just kind of asking them inside your head, especially if you've only got 5 minutes to prepare or make a plan. And the third step is plan your topic sentences, and you can even go a step further in planning your characters, moments, and your evidence. So when we're planning, we've got to come up with our answer, and our answer is going to be our contention statement. So how are we going to choose to answer this question? Yes or no, basically. And then we're going to focus on having 3 body paragraphs or 4 body paragraphs. Each of those body paragraphs have to have a topic sentence. I've got to have 3 focuses or 4 focuses, different kind of points that I'm going to argue throughout my essay. And each of those has to be supported by evidence in the way of character, key moments, events, and quotes. So I can start to plan out that. So if we come back to this topic, how does power lead to destruction? I'm going to need to plan our answer. And this is just something that I'm thinking of. It doesn't have to be the only answer. You can have many, many focuses that you can think of. But for me, when I look at this, I can see examples from both texts, how characters who are hungry for power, in the process of trying to gain power and hold on to power, they actually cause destruction. So I will, for the most part, I'll have an agree statement that, but I wouldn't necessarily agree that the power leads to destruction, but I might choose to phrase it that the desire for power. So desire for power can have many negative consequences, and that's from both texts. However, power can also be used, and I might make some sort of qualifying statement that power can also be used to help the marginal, that means the powerless, let's use that word, help the powerless in society. It can also be used to help people. So basically I'm going to be saying something along the lines of power, desire for power can actually have a lot of negative consequences, but power in itself, if it's applied wisely or used wisely, it can also be used for good. It can be used to help people. So that would be my contention statement. So I would agree for the most part, but also challenge part of the question by saying that power can also lead to good things. And then I have to, so that's my contention statement. and then I will need to come up with at least 3 topic sentences or focuses for my 3 body paragraphs. And look, this can go wherever you choose to take it, depending on what you see, but it should be broad. So your topic sentences, so the focus of your paragraph needs to be big enough that it can have ideas from both texts. So your topic sentences shouldn't be too specific, because everything in your paragraph to come after your topic sentence will be controlled by your topic sentence. We also can call it a controlling sentence or a limiting sentence. So this controls your whole paragraph. You have to write on only what's in the topic sentence. So let's start by thinking about, okay, what does the desire for power can lead to betrayal? Some form of that idea. So that people being ambitious or power hungry, it leads them to betray people that they trust, or that trust them, sorry. So the topic sentence could be desire for power lead to a betrayal, or something like both texts show that desire for power can lead characters to betray those around them. All right. So then I have to check, is it connected to my essay topic and my contention statement? Well, it's got desire for power, which is in both the essay topic and the contention statement, and the distraction is in the form of betrayal. And immediately I start thinking about, well, what characters are betraying those around them. So I should think of one main example from each text, at least a character, an event, and straight away I think of, well, Macbeth betrays King Duncan. So I can focus in on a key moment there. Perhaps it's Duncan's murder at the hand of Macbeth, and some symbols and some things that I can explore there. And from Black Panther, the first example of betrayal that comes to mind is Killmonger and his girlfriend. Now, that's not the only one necessarily. There could be lots of others that come to your mind, but they're the first 2 that swing to my mind to do with betrayal. So then I got to think of another big idea. And sometimes we can actually think of characters and moments first, and then we go up a layer to find the topic for our paragraph. So I start thinking of what other big kind of negative consequences of power are there. And the thing that first comes to mind from Macbeth is the murder of Lady Macduff and the whole of that household. So now I can't write a whole body paragraph on that, but I can see if I can find another corresponding example, and maybe I can then backform a point of my paragraph or a topic of my paragraph. Now, what I do notice is that the murder of Lady Macduff is quite violent. It's graphic. So I could then find a corresponding violent example. Now, if I hadn't used Killmonger and his girlfriend, I could possibly use that. But I could use another example from Black Panther of graphic violence. It could be the battle the final battle. It could be the destruction of the heart-shaped herbs, perhaps. But let's see, that my topic sentence then could be that, and I would need a linking word. Moreover, there can be violent consequences of leaders who are power hungry and ambitious. So you could also say something along the lines of, in order to maintain power and hold on to power, leaders may use violence to achieve their purpose or anything. But then I can focus on, well, there's violence, which the violence could be connected to destruction, and here we've got power. So we've got both key ideas from that essay question in this paragraph, and I'd come up with a key example from each. You can come up with a couple of examples if you want, but you at least have to find one key moment from each text that will support your answer. So if I've got 2 body paragraphs, now, depending on how long I've got, I can plan a 3rd body paragraph that is in support of this point, or I can switch over to my counterpoint, which is that, well, power can also be used for the benefit of those around them. So I would need to, if I was going to do that now, I would need to say some sort of linking word. In this case, I'm changing my point of view, so it'll be however. It could also be nonetheless, or another kind of linking word. However, power can also be used to benefit others in society. Some form of the power can also be used to help. It can benefit the marginalized and those powerless in society. Power can also be used to contribute to the good of the community. Some form of power can also be used for good. So we're challenging the topic here. And then I would need to, in my planning, be thinking of which main ideas I can draw on. And so from Macbeth, I may consider, Macduff. His grasp for power is motivated by justice and a desire to save Scotland. I could also use Malcolm as an example there, and I need to find a quote, of course, or a series of quotes to support that, the good motivations there. And then perhaps I could also use the example of T'Challa in power being used to benefit others in society. Straight away I think of him and his final decision as king to provide aid to the rest of the world. So while his motivations might be the same, Killmonger was wanting to use Wakandan vibranium for to help the oppressed people. T'Challa eventually does this in a way that does not lead to violence and destruction, but to benefit others. So this could be the way that you begin the process of planning an essay topic. Your task now is to do this at least 3 times. Okay, there is in your OneNotes, there is a series of essay topics. So if you come down to their SO topics there are essay topics. You can now choose at least 3 of these and do that process. See if you can find the synonyms, ask questions to find out what is this question actually asking, and then find at least 3 focuses for your paragraph. So 3 different ways you can answer the question, or different things to explore in your answer. And you can write out those things, just as I have, into your text, your notebooks, or into your OneNotes, and that'll be checked as a hurdle requirement. So that is the end of today's lesson on how to break down the essay topic. Good luck.